Hi Cole, how are you?
Very good, thanks.
Excellent, thank you for your time today. Now, why should a real estate agent use LinkedIn?
Yeah, look, LinkedIn right now, it is the number one business-to-business platform. So the way I kind of frame it is that just like you use Google to find websites today, LinkedIn is the way to find human beings. It is the biggest directory of people out there. So if you're dealing or selling to professionals or other businesses, LinkedIn is the only platform to be on. The second one is just absolute daylight. There is nothing there right now.
Okay, good. Now I did ask you if you could put together 5 golden tips for real estate agents to get started, or not if they're already started, to obviously improve their profile on LinkedIn. And you're going to walk through each of those 5. So hit us with tip number 1, Cole.
Yeah, absolutely. So tip number 1, and the most important thing on all of LinkedIn, is actually your photo. So actually having a nice photo where you're smiling, approachable, generally from kind of your chest upwards, like this kind of frame, and not a busy background, and just wear what you'd normally wear to a meeting with a client.
Yep.
So that photo, and as soon as you do that, you're 86% more likely to be found on LinkedIn.
Is that right? Now with the picture, face on, sidewards, what's your recommendation?
Look, face on performs the best by far,
Yeah.
and right down to the fact that people trust you more if they can see your eyes and identify you clearly. And when you turn up to their home or you're going to talk to them, knowing they can identify you easily, or you might meet at a cafe. So
Yeah.
that face on one is the winner.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's interesting. And what about attire? I mean, tie or no tie? What's the thinking on that?
Yeah, look, for a real estate agent, I'd definitely be recommending a tie
Yep.
and a jacket. And if they wear glasses normally, wear your glasses. So just exactly what they'd wear to a client meeting, and definitely err on the side of professional is
Yep.
going to be headed. So some of the worst photos are the other party shots, or the ones with multiple people in them, or out of focus.
Yep.
So these are the ones that users dislike the most.
Excellent. Okay, so big tick if you get the picture right, and you're 86% more likely to be found.
Yeah.
Is that right? 86?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also just when you're reaching out to connect with others on LinkedIn, if you don't have a photo, I think it's something like only 10% of people will accept your connection request. So just there's no trust conferred if there is no photo.
Yeah, an interesting fact. So tip number 2.
Yeah, tip number 2, it's quite an unknown one actually, is there's a section just below your name on LinkedIn called your headline.
Yep.
You get exactly 120 characters, so it's about 8 to 10 words. And this sentence, 120 characters, carries with you across the entire internet. So when your name gets Google searched, or when they're looking for real estate agent in Brisbane, this is what gets searched. So these keywords and names that are in your headline. And so what I strongly recommend is update that one. And best practice, the 2 best ways to approach it. Number 1 is have your title. So if you're a real estate agent and name your agency, so if it might be Ray White. And then I would recommend having a few keywords for exactly what you're best at. So do you do property sales? Do you do residential rental?
Okay.
Do you focus on this suburb or area like the south of Brisbane or that kind of thing? So when people are typing it into Google, they'll find you.
Got it. So the headline is the statement about you, and what you're saying is don't be dull, don't be boring, try and really bring it to life.
Absolutely. So if you believe that a book is judged by its cover, it's your photo and this headline that are the 2 things that come up. And your point is perfect. It is all about your personal brand. So exactly, it's your name, your face, and exactly what it is about you as an individual that stands out.
Yep.
So the way I often encourage people to think about it is, if you were to be front page article about you in a newspaper, and there was a headline to that article about you, what would it read? And that's your answer.
Excellent. And you've got a certain number of characters to use. Good stuff. So picture, headline. What's number 3, Cole?
Yeah, number 3 is probably my favourite, is actually just below the number of connections you've got. So if you've got 500 plus or 100, just below there is a section called contact details. And from this point on, I recommend to all real estate agents that this is their virtual business card.
Yep.
And so in that section, your current phone number, generally a mobile, your work email address, and your actual physical address of your office or agency. And you've also got an opportunity to put your website there as well.
Yep.
And the moment you do that, the rank of your profile will skyrocket because LinkedIn's algorithm basically says, yep, they're legitimate, they're real, they've got a physical address, they're a real business, real person, and so they elevate you. But much more importantly is that when people actually want to contact them to sell their home, the details are right there. They don't have to Google search and find a website and call the office. It can contact you directly.
Yeah, nice. That's interesting. Now, just talk to me before we go on to tip 4 and 5. Just talk to me about algorithm. So, how does an agent get to the top of the search in LinkedIn when you put their name into the search box?
Yeah, so there's about 86 elements in a LinkedIn profile if you sat there and filled them all in. And there's actually, so these first 5 are 5 of the critical ones to update, but there's about 10 that if you go and update and fill in those fields, I can almost guarantee there'll be a top 5% LinkedIn profile in Australia and definitely show up first. And so a few of the big factors, definitely photo, headline, contact details, your number of connections is super important. We'll talk about that one shortly. And also how much content you post, interact with, like and comment on. So LinkedIn is literally ranking you or assessing you against your peers in the area of real estate. They're looking at your performance, your activity, and the completeness of your profile. And that's what will rank you both at the top of LinkedIn and Google.
Got it. Okay, that's really good. So I'm going to repeat that because that's important. So performance, completeness, and your level of activity.
Correct, it's a great statement. They're the 3 kind of umbrellas.
If you want to get to the top.
Okay.
When you put Steve Carroll in, there's always an author from America, and I'm determined to get above him. So what about number 4?
Number 4 is actually a little bit of an unknown section in LinkedIn. It's called your summary or professional summary. It's the only place on LinkedIn where you get 2,000 characters to write whatever you'd like. And so 2,000 characters is about 3 or 4 paragraphs as an indication. And what I recommend that people use this for is imagine that there's 100 of your best prospects lined up at the door of the room you're in right now. And you're going to write them an open letter. And so what I really recommend, some of the best I've seen in the real estate industry, is that first paragraph might say something like, are you looking to sell your home, or are you thinking of moving, or would you like to pick up an investment property, or a number of their needs or triggers where they might speak to you. Number 2 is definitely about that individual's experience. So they might say, I've got 16 years experience selling residential real estate. Paragraph 3 would just about always be about the company and the brand they work with, so it might be McGrath Group. And the 4th and final is definitely the contact details to say, if you'd like to speak more about your home, here's my phone number, email address, or message me on LinkedIn.
Got it. Key question, Cole. So that summary, do you write it in the first person? So I this, I that, or do you write it Steve Carroll has done this and Steve Carroll has done that? What's etiquette? What would you recommend?
Yeah, the one that performs about twice as well as the other one is definitely the first person.
Okay, so I do this.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you talk about yourself, your personal brand, your passion, your motivation, your enthusiasm, these profiles perform much better. And a little bit of an oddity about LinkedIn is that it's actually prohibited that somebody else does log into your account. And so what this means, if I'm going in and writing, Colin Anstey does this or thinks like this, they should know that I'm writing that about myself. So the first person is definitely
the way to go. So just in that description of yourself, do you include, clearly if you're a real estate agent, you're talking about your experience, the areas that you dominate, your successes, your involvement with the community. What about your personal interests? Would you recommend that an agent talks about their personal interests in that part of their profile on LinkedIn, or is that not the place to do it?
Yeah, look, I'll be really blunt. In the noise and the busyness of the world we're in today, it is critical to stand out. And right now we're talking about the personal brand of each of these real estate agents, and probably it's one of the key industries that your personal brand really matters, is that I do recommend that they share things about themselves that makes them stand out. And so when I get to read profiles and they talk about their children or their mountain biking or their walking or their cooking, it really gives so much more depth to somebody. And I think, oh, look, I really like mountain biking. This is a guy I probably want to meet with.
No, that's good. Excellent. No, good tips there. And so the fifth tip, what would that be, Cole?
Yeah, so this is the most important one out of that LinkedIn algorithm. The fifth one is connections. And so going out, and so if you've got a profile that's just got 23 connections, that's a good start. The average connections in Australia on a LinkedIn profile is 237. So what you want to be doing is get into that 500 mark of connections, and there's two really important parts to this. So number one is go and connect with everybody you know. So primary school, high school, work, family, friends, and influencers, suppliers, customers. So I call them your inner circle. So I'd connect with all of them, and this will really boost your profile. And number two, and probably much more importantly, is about your prospects. Is the exact people you'd like to work with or like to deal with. And so going in and searching on them in LinkedIn, using the advanced search feature, you've got a beautiful search engine to find accountants or lawyers or CEOs.
So let's just talk about the advanced search in a bit more detail. So is that free with LinkedIn? You don't have to have an extra special subscription or anything?
Yeah, it's definitely free, so $0.
Okay, so imagine I'm an agent, Cole, and the suburbs I look after are in the western suburbs of Brisbane. Am I able, through LinkedIn, to target professional people living in those suburbs?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is actually LinkedIn's number one value, is exactly this. So what I'd do is click on advanced search up the top. And so with the filters, I'd actually type in the postcode, and I'd say within 20 kilometre radius of this postcode. And then if I was after professionals, so if you're a real estate agent, I would start typing things into the title field and actually look for owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs, someone with the title director. And so I can look for certain job areas. Or an alternative route, I can actually select the years of experience they've got. So if they're 10 years plus experience, and even I can select the company they work for. So if there's a certain group of people that I think would be great for my services, or a big organisations based in the western suburbs. So there's a number of options to target on location and definitely the professions they're in. So it is magic for that.
Okay, excellent. So let's just recap then. So the first tip was picture. Second tip was headline. The third tip was, just remind me,
contact details.
The contact details, which you were very passionate about. The fourth tip was
the summary, so the open letter.
The open letter, and then the fifth and final was just building up your database, I suppose, and proactively doing it as opposed to just waiting for people to request to connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So LinkedIn has shifted from being a kind of resume tool, to get your next job, to really being a business development tool. So that, and building your database or prospect list is key.
Excellent. Now, Colin, there's two other things that I'd like to talk to you about. One is around recommendations, and the other is around video. Now, we'll kick off with video because I understand by 2020, 80% of all content on the internet will be video. How important is video on LinkedIn, and how should agents use video effectively?
Yeah, look, I absolutely agree. So video, even right now, so I think 53% of all seconds on the internet is spent watching video, and so it's the number one content type. And so video is by far and away the best performing. And so on LinkedIn, if you've got video, and even right down to a 30-second video, 2 minutes is kind of getting to the top end.
Is that right? So 2 minutes is the max?
Or you can have as long as you like, but
Yeah.
the amount of time people actually watch it is pretty low.
Yeah.
And so short, sharp, quick, topical videos, and the ones that perform best are always professional, but more importantly, education.
Yeah.
So if you're a real estate agent, you're talking about the best things to do when you're looking for someone to rent your home, how to prepare your home for sale, what's the best thing to do, how do you choose a real estate agent, these types of things are just eaten up.
Yeah.
So video, if at all possible, is my number one choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you make a contribution, you call it education, but if you make a contribution to that person's life, then you're going to get a big tick.
Yeah.
And I'd like to talk about recommendations. So there's two forms of recommendations, and you may be able to talk through those. So obviously one is someone physically makes a recommendation and writes something really nice about you. And the second one is someone just endorses you for a particular skill. Can you just talk about the two and talk about the importance of those, please, Cole?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one is recommendations, and these are just like, 10 years ago, you used to get a written reference for a job.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn took that concept where somebody would write something nice about you, but LinkedIn's a lot more accountable, so you can see who actually wrote it. But look, if you have 3 to 5 of these, the more the better.
Yeah.
On your current role, the rank of your profile will skyrocket.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn loves these, and by far and away the best performing ones are ones from clients. So either current clients or future clients potentially. So not your mum and your dad.
Yeah, no, excellent. And just walk me through the other form, which is kind of the endorsement. So you get endorsed for marketing or endorsed for sales or IT.
Yeah.
Just talk through that.
Yeah, so the second one, you're spot on. So it's a one-click endorsement. So it pops up and I can click and endorse someone. Look, these, in my opinion, are a lot more tacky, a lot cheaper, and LinkedIn does value them quite highly. So if you've got one girl with 99 recommendations for marketing and one with 10 recommendations, the one with a 99 is going to get ranked much better.
Is that right?
Definitely, yeah. So LinkedIn values them highly. I don't recommend to spend a lot of time on them. I'd be investing more time in the first one, which is the recommendations.
Yeah, that's great. Colin, great speaking to you this afternoon. Now, you and your business are experts in this field, and I really respect the fact that you've given realestate.com.au and me your time today, so I really appreciate that. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much.